What's up guys, Sub-Zero here, back for another VOD review. Today we're doing a VOD review of Reven, sitting at about 1,000 LP on the EU West server, and the main reason we're doing this VOD review is because Reven played a comp today that I actually want to talk about. It's a common comp, but an interesting variation that I'm not seeing very commonly played. And it's interesting because I didn't even realize until today that this was a variation that could be played. But after watching it, I'm like, oh wow, this actually looks really, really solid. So definitely something to keep your eye out for if you get the possibility of playing it. Reven here opts to hold the Nico over making the 10, right? We could just have Kate solo out minions here, go sell, and make 10 gold here. He values the Nico over making 10 here. The other units I think are pretty trash, so I don't think you really need to worry about too much about holding onto those guys. But all good here. I could maybe see just making the 10 gold there, but he is going to at least make the 10 here on 1-4 this patch. So much about making that early econ so that you can play your bard later, so that you can just play anything. Makes a lot of sense that we're prioritizing econ this highly here. First dog, prep Mace's Will, Legions of 3. Not really a big fan of any of these, honestly. And then we rolled a prize fighter, which we can't really take. And then we rolled a woven magic, which we don't really want to take. This is quite nearly a disaster, right? I guess you could take woven magic and try to play something. I mean, these are all horrible. These are all augments that you'd like to play on a win streak. And the more I've thought about this Mace's Will augment, the less I like it, just in general. Luckily for Reven, he is able to reroll Mace's Will here and get something acceptable. Because yeah, I mean, if we had to take one of these, it would be horrible. But we get calc loss, which is perfect for us. We're already playing for a loss streak here. He actually calls T-Hex in chat here, which I would say is a bold call. And does even sell his Nico here just to say, I want to try to full open in this spot. I want to ensure that I get my 5 loss here. Super important whenever you're calc lossing, right? I mean, you cannot afford to win any of these fights if you take calc loss, obviously. But yeah, I think honestly, like, what percentage of time do you play T-Hex here? I mean, maybe 30% of the time, something like that. You will certainly play it sometimes, but on average, not really. Especially that guy who's got 3 Kates already and Heroic Crab Bag really has the advantage on you, especially because he has IE as well, IE plus bow. So I'm thinking very likely that we are not going to end up in this comp rotating to this guy who's playing Yasuo with Darkened Scythe. So nice board there, and we are just going to have to roll down. And yeah, he does actually already just team planner out Diana because he's saying, you know what, this guy who took the dupes augment, which can normally be a Diana augment, is not playing Diana. So we're going to keep our options open a little bit here, but kind of assume that we're playing Diana. We do pick up the Milio on the roll down here, so that's a nice hold for potential Ishtal in the mid game. And we could also even, I mean, I don't even mind doing something like this, just full open here, making sure that we continue to lose here. And also just saying, yeah, I mean, our ability to play T-Hex is just not great, especially after not seeing any more Caitlyn's on that roll down. Obviously, we did find the low risk pair even, but it's not really enough, especially from no glove, no sword. We're just so far from T-Hex items, and we're a lot closer to Diana items, right? We have half of Titans here. This tier can be Hodge in a pinch in this comp. BT's better than Hodge, but certainly Hodge is craftable, and you can play around it. You can even take the Hodge augment and then have a pretty good time with that. So yeah, there was a kitty in my room at one point, but I don't know where she went. I have no clue where she went. Okay, well, she's somewhere around here, and hopefully she doesn't do anything crazy, unless she left the room by herself. I mean, honestly, we're chilling here, right? Holding on to the Ishtal units if we can, but really just open selling. Wow, he actually, opts to say holding on to this Milio is not worth it, especially when this other guy is also just solo playing the Bard as well here. So we are just going to do what often happens this set, is that we are super full open here, literally just sold everything. Wait, she just came back. She's by my feet right now. I don't know how this is the Luna cat. I don't know how she ended up getting away from me, but okay, whatever. So if you see her in the background at some point, you probably won't, honestly. Once again, another full open here. There is an Ishtal quest for this guy, which is actually really good for us because we fight them right as they play Ishtal, and so we don't have to worry about them opening into us. But this is also the guy who's holding Caitlyn's. That's 4 Kates, not 7 Kates, right? Yeah, that's 4 Kates they're holding. So at least their spot's not that insane. We actually have to roll once here just to find a board because we were really afraid that we were actually just going to lose to Krugs here with double defender and double Nico, and we should should be totally fine here. These Nikos should be able to cast, and the fight should not even be close. Do pick up a sword on the way for Diana items and another bow here, so we have half and half of the perfect items on Diana. Just need to finish out Rod and Cloak, and then we will be there. But yeah, items looking good, and we pick up the Rod here actually, so our items end up being fantastic here. Just one Cloak off of having good Diana items, and then we can make Redemption, Spirit Visage, as it's called these days, as just a solid tank item, or hold on to these components for maybe like heal cut down the line, something like that. All right, so we are actually going to take these units off our board, just trying to continue loss streak. No need to break our streak too early, especially with calculated loss here. We can really just look to the 3-5 to stabilize in this comp. That's usually, when you are rolling down for the stuff like Leona 2. Second augment here, 1 buff, 2 buff, invested, hold the line. Hold the line, kind of not really takeable when you're playing around a frontliner carry. 1 buff, 2 buff, also pretty mediocre. Invested's interesting. I mean, we have a lot of gold already, but in this patch, you can never have too much gold. And we are able to make that 80 here. So it is a pretty tempting offer. I don't really love the 1 buff, 2 buff, just because you do have the blue buff, and then he finds min-max his last augment, which is really just not really going to have that much utility on our board. I think we don't have any like TGs that we're going to be moving around. The components, I guess, could give us something, but I don't like min-max that much. So we opted to take the invested, which it's a bit scary, I will say, because we are, now no combat here. But the more that I've played this patch, the more that I've talked to people, the more that I've realized it's just, you can never have too much econ. Every comp just wants to be able to cap out, Giga High. You want to be able to play the T-Hex and then, make it to the T-Hex 2 on 9. You want to be able to play this Diana comp, but make it to stuff like Renekton and the unit that we are going to play around this game, which we can talk about. So just a lot of different high cap stuff that you can play around this patch. So no need to feel bad about taking econ like this here. And we do pick up Nico too as well. Hold on to Garen. You do really want to be holding on to Garen and Jarvan's in this comp so that you can play for Sylas as your max cap. Obviously, he can just any comp that you're thinking of playing Sylas on. If it has Nico, then you can just swap out the Nico for the Sylas, and that's exactly what you can do in this comp. So important to hold on to that. And yeah, we try to slam some items there to kill some units. I mean, honestly, a 6-unit loss is not too bad. And we're obviously gonna have a ton of rerolls for next round. So Cloak, last item here to finish off our BIS Diana. So we are just going to grab that up real quick. And yeah, our items are looking good. We just need to 3-5 it now and roll down for everything in this comp. And yeah, he throws Leon into Team Planner so that he doesn't accidentally skip anything, because there's a lot going on here. Silvermere Dawn, interesting there. All right, let's level up and roll here. Yeah, he should sell this other stuff here. I don't know why we're dizzying ourselves with some of this stuff. And he throws Ishtal in here. He spends so long looking at Ishtal here. This is crazy. I feel like you cannot do this just because, yeah, the round's over. Oh my God. So what Ishtal quest did he even get in here? I think this is a bit of a miss here. I mean, sure, you get. I think you just can't even play Ishtal here just because we just spent so much time thinking about what we want here. And we don't actually get Diana in, which is really scary because now we're going to lose this fight. We can slam items on Tabilio, sure. But I mean, it's, yeah, this is actually really, really scary. Yeah, we're honestly going to keep rolling down, just roll to 80 gold here and then pick up the Leona here. I think this makes perfect sense because we still, we want to get our free refreshes here, but we need the Leona here. So once again, let's continue to roll down here. Here is where the game starts to get a little bit interesting, though. We hold on to Mbessa pair here, which when I played this comp in the past, I'll be real, it was not a unit that I was considering. I was not even thinking about, holding on to this Mbessa unit, but she actually makes a lot of sense on this board with the idea that you're always playing Swain, so it's easy to fit, two Noxus in that way. And then if you find Mbessa 2 and have her die, you unlock Mel, who is your Dazzler trait. I don't know why I'm calling it Dazzler, but the trait that dazzles, which for some reason I can't remember right now. You're playing that trait anyway on your board. You're playing the Azir or the Seraphine, and so it's actually very, very easy to then fit the Melmadarno on your board as a duo carry, as a unit that you can play for. So this variation, it's really cool. I hadn't seen it until today, and it actually makes a lot of sense. We hold Garen here. He's doing the wiggle thing that a lot of TFT players do. We do pick up the Mbessa here, so this will be Mel very soon, but it's actually another fight where we don't unlock the Diana. Now, the upside is, it doesn't really matter if you unlock Diana this round or next round, because we're about to go into minion round. So as long as we hit the Leona 2 next round, things will be okay. But it is a little scary, obviously. He actually rolls down a bit here, which rolls him below 80, which sucks because he actually loses out on a free reroll here. But now we can continue to roll down. We do find the Leona 2 here, and we have the Melmedarda on the board, and we'll just swap everything in here. Electrical Overload he takes, actually. I've heard people like Blast Shield more in this comp, and I think intuitively Blast Shield makes a lot of sense, especially if you're playing around Mel. So it's kind of an interesting choice there. All right, we do pick up the Diana here. I would honestly, I feel like you have to 4-1 and level here. We do pick up Lucian Senna, who's a great in on this board, because you really want to find Diana 2 here. Continue to roll down here. Find Swain 2, which helps. Don't need another Nico 2 onto our board. This ends up being our board. Okay, not the end of the world. We do end up making BT here. I was thinking maybe Shojin for the Mel, but he actually kind of wants to greed this Mel here and just throws the random tier onto her for now, and then just throws the sword on frontline, just saying Shojin, it's not amazing on Mel. You know, you'd much prefer Adaptive Helm onto her, and that's what he's thinking about here. So a lot of pairs here, still a lot left to roll. He does actually opt to sell the Tarics here with the idea that we've already hit Swain 2, which I think makes sense. Last augment here, I mean, it's not misconnections. Healing Orbs I don't think is that great either. Even on melee carries, just this late into the game, Healing Orbs is really not going to do much. Teaming up at least gives you a component, which I think is pretty nice here. Yeah, it's not Twin Guardians here. All right, we hit a few more upgrades, continue to roll down, and we do finally hit Diana 2. So our board now, at long last, is kind of stable, and we get Protector's Vow here. The board actually, I think, looks pretty good now. And we get the Bard off, we get the Lucian Senna in, who is just a fantastic random +1. And this is the board that we can actually stabilize around here, which is, you know, all of this stuff 2-star, the standard board. Except instead of playing around stuff like, you know, the Azir that you're usually playing as your +1 on this board, you're playing Melmedarda as, you know, a great unit that can Mana Reave a little bit, do a ton of damage if she actually does make it to her cast, even potentially farm your Radiant item, though. It's a little sus. I wouldn't be counting on that, I would say. But yeah, this is the board that we're going to stabilize around. We're actually very, very stable here, but there's a lot of scary stuff about there. There is a Silver Mirrodon T-Hex, which is one of her best artifacts. I mean, there's just horrifying stuff all around. I will also say I really like this positioning out of Reven here. You need to make sure when you're playing Diana that the enemy carry aggroes onto your main tank. If that does not happen at the start of combat, if you do put something like a Vi on the edge or an Mbessa on the edge here, and they, you know, aggro onto that unit and then kill them very quickly, you end up in a spot where it's very easy for your Diana to just get targeted and die. We do also pick up Lucian Senna off Carousel, which is fantastic, right? Lucian Senna too. Only downside is we don't really have items. I guess this tier can turn into a Smojin for the Lucian Senna. I mean, I like it. I mean, you just gotta slam something, and this upgrade is fantastic here. So we will do this, and then BT. It could even go into. Oh, he's thinking about, he goes for the full Reforge and finds Adaptive, actually. I mean, this must go on Lucian Senna for now, but could eventually end up there. Okay, actually, I love the Reforge. But yeah, this kind of positioning is actually perfect, because if Ashe aggroes onto your Swain, you buy a bunch of time. The scary thing is, like, if you don't have, or if you have a weak tank on this side, right? If you have like Nico here, this Diana's going to start dashing in the corner, and the second Nico dies, this Ashe and all these other backliners are going to start aggroing onto your Diana. So just make sure you have a strong tank here. Oftentimes you'll see people actually accidentally put the Azir soldiers on the edge. You really don't want the Azir soldiers on the edge because they are tanks, but they're very weak tanks. And the second they die, once again, people are aggroing onto your Diana, and your life sucks. Actually, another interesting call out as far as like cool +1s. I was talking to Disco TFT today, and he actually says you can play Annie on this board in a pinch when you need frontline, just to play the Tibbers as your main tank. Obviously, you're not going to play it here. You've already upgraded a lot of good stuff. But you know, if you're stuck on just like Swain 1, Taric 1, you know, a Tibbers 1 is going to be better than both of those. So that's another kind of like cool +1. Honestly, I had a great call with a bunch of you know, Raptor, Kai, Disco, a lot of just you know, smart people, and then also okay, I won't flame, but a lot of smart TFT players, and it gave me so much more appreciation for the set, and just TFT in general, just because, like, you know, sometimes you get like lost in the sauce and you play so much TFT that you're like, you know, is this also nice little optimization from Reven here. He opts to do this so that we can spend more time sucking mana for the stack for the Radiant item. But yeah, just being in call with people, yapping about TFT is so fun. Like, I feel like I learned a lot, and also like just there's so many more things. There's so many more outs that you see. I mean, that's why I do these type of videos, right? To show you guys an out like this that, you know, had you not seen this video, maybe you wouldn't know that this thing exists. Last item here, quite awkward actually. You could make because like the only bow item I'm really excited to make is GS. But then if I make GS, then I'm stuck making Quicksilver, which doesn't seem very good. I guess you could make Quicksilver and throw it onto Mbessa for now. What else even is there? You could make like JG, but then you're left with Renans, which seems... I mean, I guess you have the Lucian Senna. I kind of need a tank item here, though. Maybe it's like Renan's... Maybe it's Renan's Steadfast. I actually don't mind that at all, because you do have the Lucian Senna that you can itemize. You take Sword here. So we're gonna go IE Renans actually. Oh, and then adaptive frontline. Okay, yeah, that actually makes perfect sense. Because now, oh, wow, I'm surprised it's adaptive there instead of adaptive on the Swain. But yeah, actually, this is the best setup though. I'd prefer adaptive on the Swain, but maybe his thought is that even with adaptive, we're not getting multicasts off. I mean, I think we did just get 2 casts off there, and it was very close. So we'll see. I guess we level to 9. This is a very low cap level to 9 here, I would say. You know, we're not trying to like super win out the lobby. We're just trying to save HP here, especially because we are 19 HP. Also, you can see Reven is doing the thing that I was just talking about that you really don't want to do in this comp. Okay, and he does swap in the last second here, but you can actually see what happens here, the bad things, the badness that can happen in this spot if you watch. So watch what happens is Kindred's going to aggro onto this Sand Soldier. And this, the Sand Soldier dies. Now, if Diana is going on right side here, the Kindred is immediately going to start aggroing into the Diana, and your life is going to suck. So just something to be careful with in this comp is making sure your Diana does not take aggro, because she will die if she, you know, takes aggro quickly here. I'm actually kind of curious to see where... Oh, and we hit... I don't know actually how we're going to fit all this stuff on our board, because I think it's that we just did there. But obviously, you know, that means we're not fitting stuff like Renekton. We're cutting in Azir too. I think it's still better just because getting Jug on your main tank and getting the DR into your entire board is huge here. We actually mispositioned pretty hard here. This is going to be really scary positioning for us. But I think Diana aggroed in a pretty good way. But you can see here, she's taking aggro. She's taking a lot of damage here. This is the exact problem that we talked about. Though I think our board with the Lucian Senna 2 is just strong enough that we do win this. But that's exactly the risk that you run of having stuff like the Sand Soldier on the edge. So that's the idea. TG here, it never feels bad to take late game, and we do have a lot of units that we need to itemize. I mean, I guess just another Vow would be solid. He opted, what did he opt to take there, actually? He ran in the, was it Void? Yeah, he took Void Staff here just to get some MR Shred on our board. We lack it. MR Shred is valuable in this board, not as valuable as in other comps, just because you are playing a unit that just dashes straight to the backline. And, you know, MR shredding a backliner really doesn't matter that much in the grand scheme of things. But it's still, I mean, MR shred's MR shred. It's also going to help out our Mel Medarda damage. So I think it makes sense. All right, this is another one of these fights where Diana ends up taking aggro pretty early. But once again, the Mel damage is just really, really nice here. And this is actually a long fight where Mel can just farm her orbs forever here, and we win another fight, and top 4 is locked in at this point. So yeah, I mean, I love how this comp caps out. Oh, we did farm a Radiant. It was Radiant. Void Staff is the only downside here, which is kind of hilarious. But I mean, still pretty good. Also interesting that he's putting his Mel on the edge here. There was a lot of talk early said about edge Mel versus middle Mel, because she hits more units on the middle, but the upside to edge is that she can explode on backline. I think versus a board like this per se, I don't think that's the phrase I'm looking for there, but I think versus a board like this, you actually want her on the edge so she can blow up on that huge clump here. We do actually lose a fight, by the way. We rotate into that Ashe Trin board, and it just goes to show how high Ashe Trin caps. It's like that unit is just monstrous once it caps this high, and also it's kind of it's a reroll heavy lobby. The more people at the beginning of the set were talking about how reroll was like unplayable and it was fast 9 every game, and now it's funny just how quickly the meta can shift, where now like there's so much reroll here. All right, gonna roll down here. Really just, I don't actually know what we're even looking for upgrades wise here, because we've hit basically everything. I guess he does find the Shiv again, but he's not really willing to play it, so I'm not really sure what the idea is here. We do finally pick up Heal Cut here, which we did not have until this last moment, which is really huge versus this Ashe Trin board versus this guy. So this is a huge pickup for us here. We'll see what Diana can do versus this very strong reroll board, but we do clear it there. So that's a top 3 at least, maybe a top 2 from this spot here. And yeah, we're just seeing if we can cap high enough for a forced here. So yeah, he did end up Void Staff. Okay, I mean, Void Staff here is good. I love like putting this kind of stuff on a Swain too much, I think. He is also looking at the Fiddle pair. If we hit a Fiddle 2, this is obviously another unit that you can cap out with because you're playing the Ambessa, so you can get the Vanquisher in. Also, it's called Disruptor, by the way, in case anyone wanted to know what that trait was called and forgot it as well with me. Looks like, yeah, the Ash Trin, though, is actually such a tough matchup. It's kind of the counter comp for this comp just because Diana, obviously, there's no one to snipe when the Trin is a monster. So still, though, a really cool game from Reven showing off this this really interesting variation in this line. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my Twitch and Meta, I'm in the links down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching as always.